when you're small and you're growing, like you'll do anything for the sale, right? You'll drive 50 miles, you'll do whatever you got to do. You got to make money. I get that. But then what happens over time is as you scale these businesses, sometimes people stay in the same bad habits because I've always done that since day one. And now I'm sending my guys way across town. And so you really just have to start making the trade-off, and you have to get comfortable with turning down. Don't think about revenue, just think about what it's going to contribute to your business on a cash flow basis, and turn down things that are not profitable on a net present value perspective. And this is very easy math to do. And it's stuff people don't want to think about. Hey, I'm spending money on advertising. I know it's not so profitable, but I'm going to, we're going to service that. No. Okay. It's a sunk cost. You've already spent it. Doesn't mean you have to double down on it. Right. And so I do think thinking about, look, almost all of the segments and all the industries we deal with are literally route-based recurring revenue businesses, right? Whether they be gutter or pest control or lawn or landscape. And so at the forefront of what you're doing is geography. Am I in the right geography? As a net importer of people, like, am I really managing to make my business as dense as possible? Am I smart enough? Am I brave enough to make the hard trade-offs to forego that dollar today? Because by doing so, I'm going to actually grow a denser, more profitable business tomorrow. That's the way that I tend to look at it, and it's very difficult. It's easy for me to sit here and say this. I'm not trying to put food on the table and get shit done. I get that. But I do think as you mature in the business, after the first couple of years, I'll give people a pass the first year or two. You got to do it, right? I get that. But once it starts to mature, I think you got to make those trade-offs. Otherwise, you end up in a bad spot. Yeah. I don't know what you think about that, Jonathan.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
What do you think about it, Jonas?
I think it's super smart. Obviously, I'm going to agree with him. Okay. And that's why strategically we weren't going anywhere. Just my whole goal was to take over Wisconsin first. The other two just happened. One of our sales managers, mom got cancer, originally was from Grand Rapids, and we wanted to move him back there so he could be closer to his mom, and that's just what happened. We moved him closer, and he started a branch there.
Yeah, and I say these things, and I say these things based on the fact that, it depends on what your stated purpose is. I'm always operating under the thought process that you want to grow the most profitable, less risky business that you can in the shortest time possible, and all those sorts of things. But there are decisions that sometimes are important to make, where, like, you've got somebody whose mom's got cancer, and you want to keep this guy, and you've got the opportunity to do it. Is it the most ideal situation? No, but it's a trade-off that you make, and you say, hey, I'm going to open this branch here. But it's really just about, I think for me, people sometimes just fail to recognize the trade-offs. It's like, if you make it deliberately, it's okay. But
yeah. You're talking in terms of profit. I'd bring another side of this conversation in, and that is, what is the majority of any of these industries, pest, lawn, you name the trade, what are they fighting? They're fighting burnout. Why does everybody, we'll use a lawn example because I don't know the pest number, 350,000 to 500,000 take top line revenue, takes out the majority of all companies. They plateau there, they get stuck there. Why does that happen? I think it's highly because they don't run out burnout. They don't outrun burnout. What are contributing factors to burnout? Serving 90,000 different locations, tons of different clients, tons of different employees, offering lots of different services, different types of trucks and equipment mix. It's exhausting. It's always one more problem because it adds so much complexity. So there's the profit element, and then there's just the plain and simple, how do you position yourself so you have the longevity to have your foot on the gas and go, to build past these really challenging phases in the business. And that 350, 500, those are very, very difficult times inside an organization. And you're just making your life suck. And the odds are you're not going to be one of the people who gets past that phase.
I wonder what your thoughts are. When I see a lot of these smaller businesses, it's like you start from scratch. So again, you're trying to put food on the table. Like, you need to do everything yourself. And I feel like sometimes, unless you have like specific goals of what you're attempting to do with your business, some guys will grow a $500,000 business and that's what they want. And they're happy with that. And that's great. It's a lifestyle business. But like, the guys that really get frustrated are the ones that want to grow large businesses, but really haven't thought through, like, how do you get out of that scarcity mindset from the early years, where now you realize that every expense is not just an expense, it's also an investment. So how do you actually leverage your time? How do you, appropriately delegate those sorts of things? And I find that's it's just like it's like the business gets to that certain level and the owner just hasn't gotten to the point where they can hire those folks or replace themselves or thought through that. I mean, do you see that a lot in your coaching clients that never break through?
Yeah, I think that's the majority. And it comes from a lot of different places. They were trying to scrap together whatever they could from a business, just piece together lots of different work, cover the costs, pay for the next employee you need to hire, whatever. What are the problems? Work was priced wrong. We didn't fix the pricing. And you could go down the list of examples of just pricing that never get fixed. And so they wake up one day in a situation where they're essentially trapped. They don't know why they're trapped, but they're trapped because there's no margin to actually fix the problem. There's no margin for them to even take a deep breath and go to an event and be inspired and see like what everybody else is doing. Say, wait, the story I've been telling myself that this industry sucks and there are no good employees. Maybe I should challenge that concept because there's a whole lot of really large companies here and there's a bunch of people that seem to be making money. Maybe the problem isn't the industry, maybe it's something else. Like you're so consumed, you can't even see the forest from the trees. And then you're so consumed, there's no ability to upgrade the team members because there's no margin, there's no money. And so unfortunately, like most of us humans learn is through pain. And usually you have to reach that point, and some number of people will eventually hit that point, and then they'll go seeking an answer. And then they have to make the next really hard decision, which is, all right, my family might have to make a little bit less money for a while. I'm going to have a really hard conversation with my spouse. We're going to have to make some really hard decision to get this to cut back from where we're at so that I can get breathing room and then rebuild from there. And most will frankly not do it, but that is the hard truth about what's required. And the people that you did it. I mean, not that you were in trouble or you weren't having the financial trouble. It's just like, if you wanted to get to the next level, that's exactly, you had to cut back and to go forward. And that's what a lot of people are facing. And it's a brutal conversation, but that's honestly the answer for most.